The chamber door sealed with a hiss that made every diplomat in the room straighten their spines. Verithus, chief medical officer of the collective fleet, stood before the assembled representatives, with forearms folded across her chitinous chest, mandibles clicking in what humans had learned meant deep concern. The Queen's observers occupied the highest tier, their silence heavier than any words. They never attended routine medical briefings. Ambassador Chen kept her expression neutral, but her pulse quickened. 3 days ago, a human child had survived exposure to the Kresh plague, a pathogen with a 98% mortality rate across 47 known species. The collective's finest scientists couldn't explain it. Now the Queen herself had demanded answers. The human specimen, Verathsess began, her translator struggling with the clinical detachment in her tone. This is not opinion. This is biological law as we understand it. Her name is Maya, Chen said quietly. She's 7 years old. Verith's compound eyes reflected the holographic displays showing cellular scans. The organism designated Maya Chen exhibits physiological responses that contradict established xenobiology. We require explanation. Sarah Martinez, their chief medical liaison, who stood with the calm of someone who'd been waiting for this moment. Martinez stepped forward, her tablet projecting new images into the chamber's central display. We call it the immune system, Martinez said. Every human has one. Absolute silence filled the chamber, the kind that precedes either revelation or catastrophe. Martinez continued, her voice steady. Our bodies contain specialized cells that identify, attack, and remember pathogens. When Maya was exposed to the Kresh plague, her immune system recognized it as foreign, mobilized defenses, and eliminated it. She developed a fever, a deliberate increase in body temperature that creates a hostile environment for the pathogen. Her white blood cells surrounded and destroyed the infected tissue. Our antibodies tagged the plague markers for destruction. Impossible, breathed a collective physician from the lower tiers. No organism can self-modify to counter unknown threats. We don't modify, Martinez corrected. We adapt. Our immune systems maintain libraries of every pathogen we've encountered, personally or ancestrally. Some responses are learned, others are inherited. Verithus has moved closer to the hologram, her movements suddenly cautious, almost reverent. You carry weapons inside your bodies, living weapons that think, that learn, that remember. We carry defense systems, Chen interjected carefully. She could feel the shift in the room, the way the collective species were reassessing everything they knew about humans. Show me the mechanisms, Verathsess demanded. All of them. Martinez began walking through the data. Neutrophils engulfing bacteria, T cells destroying virus-infected cells, B cells producing antibodies, the complement system marking targets for elimination. Each image brought renewed silence from the assembled species, whose own biological defenses relied on environmental adaptations, symbiotic relationships, or simple isolation protocols. This is why you require no sterilization protocols in your ships, one of the observers stated from above. Not a question, a realization. Correct, Martinez confirmed. Our immune systems handle most environmental pathogens automatically. We still maintain hygiene standards, but we don't need the level of biological isolation other species require. A Xanth diplomat rose, her crystalline form refracting the holographic light. During the border wars, we documented human soldiers continuing to function in conditions that killed our troops within hours. Contaminated water, diseased food supplies, infected wounds. We attributed this to superior equipment. Our equipment helps, Chen acknowledged, but our immune systems do most of the work. A healthy human can survive exposures that would be lethal to most species in the collective. Verithus turned to face the Queen's observers. Do you comprehend the implications? They don't fight disease. They coexist with it. They evolved alongside pathogens, in constant warfare at the cellular level. Their bodies are battlegrounds. Every moment of every day, Martinez added, your bodies maintain homeostasis through balance. Ours maintain it through constant, invisible war. One of the observers leaned forward. When they spoke, their voice carried the weight of the Queen's own authority.
The human child, Maya.
She now carries immunity to the Kresh plague? Yes, Martinez confirmed. Her body remembers it. If exposed again, her immune response would be immediate and overwhelming. She could walk through a plague ward without protection. Could she transfer this immunity? The question hung in the air. Chen felt ice slide down her spine. This was the moment that would define human collective relations for generations. Through vaccination. Yes, Martinez answered carefully.
We can train immune systems to recognize threats they haven't encountered. We've been doing it for centuries.
We could, theoretically, develop a vaccine for the Kresh plague using Maya's antibodies as a template. Verath's mandibles spread wide. Shock or awe, Chen couldn't tell. You can give immunity as a gift, or a weapon, the observer stated flatly. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Every human present understood the precipice they stood upon. They possessed something the collective had never imagined, the ability to survive what killed others, and potentially to share that survival. Or withhold it. Chen stepped forward, her voice clear and firm. The collective has treaty protections. We share medical knowledge under the Accord of Common Welfare. If we can help, we will. The Queen, the observer said slowly, will want to meet this child, and she will want to understand why humanity never mentioned that their bodies contain perhaps the most sophisticated defense system in known space. We didn't hide it, Chen replied. We just didn't realize how unusual it was. Verathis made a sound like grinding stones. Chen realized. Bitter, amazed laughter, the apex predator of Earth, the doctor said, walks among us with armies in their blood, and they thought this was normal. Questions in 17 languages overlapped, but the observer's voice cut through them all. Silence. Queen will grant audience. Tomorrow. The child, her guardians, and your medical specialists. She wishes to understand how humanity learned to carry war within peace. As the chamber emptied, Martinez moved close to Chen. Did we just make ourselves invaluable or terrifying? Shen watched the collective species hurry away, already transmitting reports to their homeworlds. Maybe both, but Maya's alive, and now they know why. We navigate from there. Through the viewport, the Queen's flagship dominated the view, vast, ancient, powerful. Somewhere aboard it, decisions were being made that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of what it meant to be human. Chen touched the comm unit connecting her to the medical bay where Maya played with building blocks, unaware she'd become the most important child in collective space. Get some rest, Sarah. Tomorrow we teach the Queen about immunity. And hope she sees it as a gift, not a threat. Hope, Chen agreed, and prepare. Because the Queen doesn't grant audiences. She conducts evaluations. The next morning arrived with precision the collective favored, mechanical and inexorable. Maya sat between her parents in the shuttle, swinging her legs, more interested in the window than the enormity of what awaited her. Ambassador Chen had spent the night reviewing every protocol, every cultural consideration, every possible angle of approach. None of it felt adequate. The Queen's flagship, the Eternal Contemplation, had been old when Earth was still climbing out of its Bronze Age. Its corridors consumed lesser ships whole. As they docked, Martinez ran through the medical data one final time, her fingers dancing across her tablet with the nervous energy of someone who knew they were explaining fire to beings who'd only ever known darkness. The receiving chamber was smaller than Chen expected, more intimate. The walls curved organically, bioluminescent panels providing soft light that seemed to breathe. The Queen herself rested upon a dais that wasn't quite a throne, more a natural formation that had grown to accommodate her form over centuries. She was vast and ancient, her species name unpronounceable in any human tongue, her appearance simultaneously insectoid and aquatic, with elements that defied easy categorization. But her eyes held the accumulated wisdom of 400 years and the sharp, cutting intelligence of someone who'd united 70 species through will and vision alone. The child who survived, the Queen said, her voice emerging from everywhere and nowhere, translated through technology Chen couldn't begin to understand. Approach. Maya's mother tensed, but Maya herself slipped from her chair with the fearless curiosity of someone too young to understand danger. She walked forward, stopped at the respectful distance Chen had taught her, and executed a perfect bow. Your Majesty, Maya said clearly, thank you for inviting us. The faintest ripple passed through the Queen's form. Amusement. Chen realized with relief. You carry something inside you that fascinates my doctors, small one. They say you fought a plague that has killed millions. Did it hurt? Maya considered this with the seriousness of a child asked an important question. I felt really hot and sleepy. My head hurt. But Mom and Dad gave me medicine and cold cloths, and Dr. Martinez said my body was fighting really hard. Then I got better. Your body fought, the Queen repeated. Without machines, without external assistance. My white blood cells fought, Maya corrected politely. Dr. Martinez showed me pictures. They're really small, so you need a microscope. But they're really brave. They see bad things and eat them. Verithus, standing to one side, made a strangled sound. The Queen's attention never wavered from Maya. Brave, the Queen mused. You ascribe valor to cellular mechanisms? That's what brave means, right? Protecting people even when it's scary? Then Dr. Martinez, explain to me how this child came to possess such protection. Martinez stepped forward, projecting holographic images that floated between them. Maya's immune system began developing before she was born, Your Majesty. Human mothers transfer antibodies through the placenta. Immunity passes from generation to generation. After birth, breastfeeding provides additional antibodies. As she grew, every infection she encountered trained her immune system. Every vaccine we gave her taught it to recognize specific threats. She has been deliberately infected? The Queen's tone sharpened. With weakened or dead pathogens, yes, Martinez confirmed. Vaccination exposes the immune system to threats in controlled conditions, allowing it to develop defenses without the danger of active disease. It's how we eradicated diseases that once killed millions of our own children. You experiment on your young. The accusation hung heavy. Chen felt her stomach clench, but Martinez held firm. We protect our young, Your Majesty. Before vaccination, human children died of measles, polio, smallpox, diphtheria, diseases that are now extinct or controlled because we trained our immune systems to fight them. Maya is alive because generations of humans refined these techniques because parents chose to give their children the tools to survive. And now she carries immunity to a plague that kills my people. Yes, Martinez said quietly. Her body has cataloged the Kresh plague. Her immune system would recognize it instantly if exposed again. The Queen shifted, her massive form moving with surprising grace. Can you extract this immunity? Transfer it? We can create a vaccine using her antibodies as a template. It wouldn't work the same way for all species. Immune systems vary enormously. But for species with adaptive immune responses, yes, we could potentially provide protection. The Kresh themselves lack these white blood cells you describe. What of them? Martinez hesitated. More complex. We'd need to study each species' biology, understand how they respond to infection, develop species-specific protocols. It wouldn't be quick or easy, but possible. Possible, Martinez confirmed. The Queen turned her attention back to Maya, who had been watching the holographic displays with obvious fascination. Child, if we could use your immunity to save others, would you permit it? Maya looked up at her parents, then back to the Queen. Would it hurt them? The process might cause discomfort. A small pain to prevent a larger one. Dr. Martinez says helping people is important, even when it's hard. Something in the chamber's atmosphere changed. The Queen leaned forward, bringing her immense face closer to the small human child who met her gaze without flinching. You do not fear me, small one? Martinez said you were wise and fair. Are you? For the first time in recorded collective history, the Queen made a sound that translators rendered as laughter. Deep, resonant, filled with genuine mirth. Oh, humanity, the Queen said, straightening. You send me a child who argues philosophy while her body wages war against death itself, and you wonder why we are unsettled by you. With your parents' permission, I wish to conduct a full analysis. Not of the plague immunity. I want to understand how this system functions across its full spectrum. Maya's father spoke for the first time, his voice steady despite the tension radiating from him. Will it hurt her? No, Verath said. We require only scans and small tissue samples. The equivalent of your blood tests. The child will experience brief discomfort, nothing more. And what will you do with the information? Chen asked, stepping into her role as ambassador. The Queen regarded her with those ancient, knowing eyes. That depends on what we discover, Ambassador. If human immunity is truly as sophisticated as initial reports suggest, the implications are substantial. With respect, Your Majesty, humanity has shared our medical knowledge openly since joining the collective. You shared treatments, procedures, techniques, the Queen countered. You never explained that your bodies are essentially self-contained medical facilities constantly adapting to threats. Do you comprehend how revolutionary this is? Species across the collective rely on environmental controls, isolation, careful management of exposure. You walk through contaminated zones and simply adapt. Not always successfully, Chen reminded her. Humans die of disease too. Our immune systems aren't perfect. But they exist. They fight. They learn. The Queen's voice carried wonder now, not accusation. Evolution on Earth must have been a crucible beyond imagining. Humans and pathogens have been locked in an evolutionary arms race for millions of years. Every plague that swept through our populations left survivors whose immune systems had found an answer. Those survivors passed on their advantages. Generation after generation, selection pressure forced our immune systems to become more sophisticated. You were shaped by disease, Varaths breathed. Your entire species was forged in biological warfare. And it made us resilient, Chen said. It also made us cautious. We maintained strict quarantine protocols for first contact situations. We understand that our immune systems might handle threats that could devastate other species, so we're careful about contamination. The Queen was silent for a long moment, processing. Around them, her advisors waited, understanding the history was being made in this small chamber. Maya, the Queen said finally, will you help Dr. Varaths with her scans? Maya looked at her parents, received their nods, and smiled. Okay. Can I ask questions while she works? You may ask anything you wish, brave child. Her voice dropped to tones meant only for them. I have ruled the collective for 4 centuries, Ambassador Chen. I have seen species rise and fall. I have witnessed technological revolutions and cultural transformations. But this fundamental difference in how your bodies interact with disease, this changes calculations I have made for longer than your civilization has existed. Chen felt the weight of those words. Your Majesty, we didn't hide this from you. That is perhaps the most disturbing aspect. You genuinely didn't realize how unique you were. What else about humanity is exceptional that you consider mundane? It wasn't a question she could answer. Instead, Chen asked, what happens now? We document. We understand. And then we decide whether human immunity represents the greatest gift the collective has ever received or the greatest threat. Maya chatted happily with Varathis, asking about the doctor's homeworld, her family, whether she had any pets. The normalcy of it stood in stark contrast to the magnitude of what was unfolding. Chen watched the data begin to flow across holographic displays. White blood cell counts, antibody distributions, lymphatic system mappings. The intricate dance of human immunity lay bare for collective science to examine. She thought about Earth, about billions of humans going about their lives, unaware that their bodies contain marvels that could reshape galactic medicine. She thought about the responsibility that came with such knowledge, the power dynamics it created, the potential for both immense good and catastrophic exploitation. Ambassador, the Queen said softly, pulling Chen from her thoughts, I see your concern. You fear we will see your people as resources to be harvested, rather than partners to be respected. The thought has occurred to me, Your Majesty. Good. Fear makes you cautious, and caution will serve us both well. But understand this. I did not unite 70 species through exploitation. I built the collective on principles of mutual benefit and shared progress. If human immunity can help us, it will be through cooperation, not coercion. And if some among the collective disagree with that approach, the Queen's form seemed to grow larger, more imposing. Then they will learn why I am Queen, and why my word is law in collective space. No species will threaten humanity for their biology. You have my oath on this. Relief flooded through Chen, but she kept her expression neutral. We appreciate that assurance, Your Majesty. And we will work with your scientists to develop treatments and vaccines that can help, but we'll need protections. Protocols. Guarantees that humans won't become medical subjects without consent. Drop your requirements. My advisors will review them. We will create a framework that satisfies both human autonomy and collective need. Across the chamber, Maya laughed at something Varaths had said. The sound cut through the tension like sunlight through storm clouds. She doesn't understand what's happening, the Queen observed. She understands that she can help people, Chen replied. For now, that's enough. When she is older, when she comprehends that her body made her the catalyst for a medical revolution that may save billions, how will she carry that knowledge? Chen smiled, probably the same way she carries everything else. With more courage than someone her size should possess, and with the absolute certainty that helping people is simply what you do. The Queen made that sound again, laughter rich and genuine. Humanity continues to surprise me. You have given us so much already. Your art, your music, your philosophy, your mathematical insights, and now this, the gift of understanding immunity, wrapped in the form of a child too young to be properly afraid. She just doesn't let it stop her. Ah, the Queen said, that is perhaps the most human thing of all. Variths reviewed the data with increasing excitement, her mandibles clicking rapidly as she processed the results. She approached the Queen, her forearms gesturing at holographic displays that materialized in the air. Your Majesty, preliminary analysis confirms everything Dr. Martinez claimed and reveals even more. The human immune system operates on multiple overlapping levels: innate responses, adaptive responses, memory formation, even what appears to be epigenetic tagging of successful defense strategies. It's not just sophisticated, it's a fully realized autonomous defense network that rivals any artificial system we've created. Show me the memory component, the Queen commanded. Variths pulled up images of B cells and T cells, highlighting the mechanisms by which they retained information about past infections. They maintain archives, Your Majesty. Every pathogen encountered is cataloged. Some memories persist for decades, some potentially for life. And vaccination exploits this memory function. By introducing a controlled exposure, they train the immune system to recognize threats before facing the actual danger. It's elegant, efficient, and it explains how humans achieve such low disease mortality rates compared to species with similar technology levels. The Queen studied the data in silence. Around her, advisors began murmuring, understanding spreading through the chamber like ripples in water. Finally, she spoke. We've been approaching disease control incorrectly for millennia. We isolate, we avoid, we manage exposure. Humans do something far more audacious. They prepare for battle before the enemy arrives. It's not always sufficient, Martinez reminded her. We still lose people to disease. Some pathogens evolve faster than our immune systems can adapt. Some cancers evade immune detection. We're not invulnerable. But you fight, the Queen said. At every level, from the cellular to the societal, you fight disease rather than simply avoiding it. This philosophy has made you resilient in ways we never anticipated. She turned to address the entire chamber, her voice carrying the authority that had held the collective together through crisis after crisis. I am declaring this a matter of collective priority. Human immunity will be studied, understood, and its principles will be adapted to benefit all species. Ambassador Chen, your people will be compensated fairly for their contribution. Dr. Martinez, you will lead a joint research team. Dr. Varas, you will serve as collective liaison. And Maya, dead is so observed to have a destructive revolution. You, brave one, will be remembered in collective history as the one who taught us that the greatest defenses are often invisible. That preparation for threats not yet encountered is wisdom, not paranoia, that sometimes the smallest among us carry the most important lessons. Maya bowed again, wobbling slightly. Thank you, Your Majesty. Does this mean I can tell my friends I met you? Laughter rippled through the chamber, genuine warm, breaking the last of the tension. In fact, I insist upon it. Stories spread further than official announcements, and I want all to know that humanity's contribution to the collective has grown immeasurably this day. As the formal audience concluded, as the plan of protocols were observed and farewells exchanged, Chen found herself standing with Martinez near the viewport, watching the vast expanse of the collective fleet arrayed around them. We just changed everything, Martinez said quietly. We explained our biology, Chen corrected. The universe changed itself. Or will it become another source of division? The Queen means what she says, but she won't rule forever. We need to make sure the framework we build today lasts beyond her reign. That means transparency, shared research, absolute prohibition on forced medical procedures, and humans maintaining some control over how our immunity knowledge is used. A tall order, a necessary one. Because, Sarah, this is just the beginning. Once the collective understands our immune systems, they're going to look closer at everything else. Our bone density, our healing rates, our ability to survive in varied gravity and atmosphere. Every aspect of human biology that we take for granted might be exceptional. We're not just a member species anymore. No, Chen agreed. We're the species that carries war in our blood and calls it health. The species that learned to teach our bodies to recognize threats before encountering them. We're the species that survived Earth. Back in the diplomatic shuttle, Maya had fallen asleep against her mother's shoulder, exhausted by the day's excitement. Her father held his wife's hand, both of them processing what their daughter had become, a symbol, a catalyst, a bridge between humanity and the collective. Chen settled into her seat, already drafting reports in her mind. Earth would need to know. The colonies would have questions. Scientists would demand access to the research. Politicians would see opportunities and dangers in equal measure. But for now, in this moment between the audience and the inevitable storm of consequences, Chen allowed herself a moment of quiet pride. Humanity had joined the collective as newcomers, the young species with potential but little to offer beyond curiosity and determination. In the span of hours, that had changed. They'd revealed something fundamental about themselves, something that made them unique in all of collective space. They'd shown the galaxy that life on Earth had forged them into beings who didn't just survive disease. They conquered it, adapted to it, learned from it. Their bodies were living testaments to the power of evolution under pressure, to the resilience that came from millennia of struggle. And they'd done it not through military might or technological superiority, but through the simple act of surviving childhood illnesses and being willing to explain why. The shuttle detached from the eternal contemplation, engines firing as they began the journey back to the human diplomatic station. Through the viewports, the Queen's flagship grew smaller, but its significance loomed larger than ever. "Ambassador," the pilot called back. "We're receiving transmission requests from 17 collective member species, 12 human colony worlds, and the Security Council on Earth. They all want immediate briefings on what happened in there." Chen smiled tiredly. "Acknowledge receipt. Tell them we'll begin briefings in 6 hours. Right now, we're taking Maya home and letting her parents rest. And you, Ambassador? I'm going to write the most important report of my career, the one that explains to humanity that we're no longer just participants in galactic civilization. We're teachers, and what we're teaching might just save countless lives across dozens of worlds." She looked at Maya, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the weight of history she'd helped make. The child's chest rose and fell with steady breaths, each one a reminder of the invisible war being waged inside her body, the war that all humans fought without even knowing, the war that had just become the galaxy's most important lesson. "Sleep well, little one," Chen whispered. "Tomorrow the real work begins. Tomorrow we teach the collective what immunity really means, and we do it carefully, responsibly, with the full weight of human dignity behind us." The stars wheeled past the viewport, indifferent and eternal, but somewhere among them, billions of beings were learning that the humans, those strange, resilient creatures from Earth, had carried within them a secret that could change the galaxy. Not a weapon, not a tool of conquest, but something far more powerful. They carried hope, written in the language of cells and antibodies, protected by the lesson that preparation and adaptation could overcome threats that seemed insurmountable. They carried the proof that suffering could forge strength, that challenges could become advantages, that even the smallest body could contain the mightiest defenses. And now, that knowledge belonged to all. Chen began to write, her fingers dancing across her tablet, documenting every moment, every revelation, every word spoken in the Queen's chamber. Future generations would read this report. Future medical students across dozens of species would study it. Future children would learn how a 7-year-old human named Maya changed the universe by simply being willing to share what her body knew. The report grew word by word, building a bridge between human biology and collective understanding. Outside, the fleet sparkled against the void, each ship carrying beings who would soon learn that immunity wasn't just a human trait. It was a principle that could be adapted, studied, and perhaps one day shared. The ambassador wrote. The galaxy turned, and somewhere in the vastness of space, the Queen contemplated the lesson she'd learned, that sometimes the most profound revolutions come not from technology or warfare, but from understanding the simple fact that some beings carry defenses others never imagined possible. Humanity had fallen silent when asked about immunity, not from secrecy, but from genuine ignorance of their own exceptionalism. The Queen had taken note, and the universe would never be quite the same.